I, 19 male, have two older siblings who were both born with severe disabilities. Their disabilities are related to an inheritable gene that both my parents were carriers of, hence both of them having these disabilities. They had me so their disabled children would have someone to take care of them when they were gone. It was a gamble. I could have been disabled like my siblings and even had a higher chance of also being a carrier for that gene. My parents didn't look into it. They initially planned to adopt, but they were rejected because my siblings were disabled, and it was decided they couldn't adequately care for another child on top of them. So they gave in and had me. Once they knew I wasn't disabled at birth, they no longer cared about my future because it was set in stone in their minds. I was raised to take over the care for both of my siblings. I was taught what to do and how to do it, and my parents interfered in my success. They'd pull me out of school just enough times to cause trouble, but timed just right to throw me off and leave me behind at school. Their aim was for me to do badly enough to either drop out or not graduate high school so that I wouldn't leave for college. But I worked my butt off to do the best I could. My grades weren't great, but they were the best they could be, given the circumstances. I only learned about my risk of being a carrier in my final 2 months of high school. My parents didn't care because they never planned for me to marry or have kids, because again, I was supposed to be the caregiver for the rest of my life. I moved out of my parents' house after high school, and I'm in college now. My parents hate it. I'm mostly estranged and I haven't told them yet, but I got checked for the gene because I always wanted kids, but I knew I didn't want to risk having children with the same disabilities as my siblings. Apparently, I'm not a carrier, which is rare, but it's such a relief. But it made me more angry at my parents for not caring. They leave voicemails pretty frequently, shaming me for going to college and moving away, and not supporting them or my siblings. They talked about how out of practice I'll be, so I decided to call them, and over the phone I told them I was not coming back, and that they needed to find an alternative solution for long-term care for my siblings because I wouldn't be the solution. I won't sacrifice the rest of my life to care for them. My parents told me that was disgusting to say, and that I should love my siblings more than enough to care for them, especially when they're the highest risk adults. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Wow. I'm so happy that you're not a carrier for this gene. Block their numbers or change yours, and go out and live your life. Your siblings are not your problem or responsibility. Your parents are the ones sick in their heads for having you solely as a slave to their other kids. You should talk to the police. Just tell them, if my parents call and say I'm missing, here I am. I'm doing great. I just don't want contact anymore. No, this is not a thing. The police do not keep a list of people who are not missing. If the parents contact the police will simply call OP or drop by where he's living, and he can just then say, I'm fine, thanks. And that'll be the end of it. Forgive the crassness of this comment, but they could have saved every dollar they spent raising you to invest or pay for insurance so that when they pass, there's a plan to care for your siblings. They figured birthing a slave would be cheaper. You're a person, not a plan. They owed you support, barely provided that, and sabotaged you along the way. You don't owe them or your siblings anything. You are entitled to your existence and are not required to shoulder their burdens. Yeah, expecting OP to give up his life and focus on his siblings isn't even close to normal. On another note, are you sure that both of your parents are actually your parents? Do you look like them? I find it a bit suspicious that you don't even carry that gene and they plan to adopt before having you. I would definitely do a 23andMe test. Good luck, OP. My sister and I are not close, and it's due to our parents. She is a very awkward, shy person. She's 2 years younger than me, and my parents have always made me watch over her. Some examples are that I needed to join the club she was interested in, so she wouldn't be alone, dropping hanging out with friends to be with her, downplaying successes since it would make her sad, and so on. I was kinda an emotional support animal for her. When I was in high school and she was in middle school, it was fine, since I could get away from everyone. She came to high school, and my parents wanted me by her 24/7 again, and it was awful. I turned 18 and moved out with my aunt. I stopped helping her, and she had a very lonely high school experience, and at the time, blamed me for it. She dropped out of college for multiple reasons, but one of them was not having friends. Overall, she never grew out of it. I've been in family therapy with my parents since they realized they messed up. My wedding's coming up, and my grandma asked me to make my sister a bridesmaid. My sister's apparently been going around telling everyone she'll be a bridesmaid. I told everyone that she would not, and it was just my close friends. This started an argument with my sister in front of the family. She was upset and told me how alone she was. I got annoyed and told everyone that I didn't care that she didn't have friends and that she would not be a bridesmaid at my wedding. She called me an idiot, and people are split. Some think I was too harsh, and others think it's justified. Edit. My parents had nothing to do with this. They're on my side about the whole situation. I'm not going to contact them. We've made great progress in our relationship. Not the idiot, OP. I know you're hurting, but I laughed at being my sister's support animal. That's wild. Obviously, your parents put you in an impossible, difficult, and unfair position, being your sister's keeper and all, and they need to accept responsibility for that fully before you can have the relationship you're supposed to have, like the normal child-to-parent relationship, not parentified child-to-parent or third parent to parent. Yeah, OP has got to cut ties with their family ASAP because obviously nobody cares about how it actually affects OP. Why is this still continuing? It seems like her parents and family still enable her sister. So what's the point of family therapy? There are ways to deal with this without cutting ties. That's ridiculous. OP, it's time to state your boundaries, as you have, and hold to them. Quite honestly, your parents abjectly failed your sister by not working with a psychologist or a children's psychology clinic to help your sister develop the necessary social skills to make and retain friends. Your parents need to wake up to the fact that they have two daughters and to treat you as individuals. Just because your sister has issues doesn't mean you always have to feel uncomfortable to accommodate her in your life. My daughter is a teen and a sophomore. Yesterday, a boy in her Spanish class made a harassing comment to her about her body, which got him sent to the office. They made the boy apologize to my daughter after he met with the principal, and he received a referral. At my daughter's school, an office referral means an automatic call home and a parent signature. This is an official school policy. A couple of months ago, my daughter got a referral because she got a bit snarky with her math teacher. Her teacher asked her to stop texting while she was teaching, and she responded, "Chill out, bruh," to her. Within an hour, her principal had called me. I spoke with the principal about the situation after school. I said something about being glad the boy's parents, just one parent as I learned later, it's just his dad, were being informed, and he got weirdly silent. I asked him to confirm that he is indeed contacting his parent, mandatory as he got a referral. And the principal said something like that. With this particular student, there were some concerns about calling his home because of his family situation. He didn't elaborate much, but I got the sense that he was implying abuse. I asked him if the boy's parents would at least have to sign the referral, and he said no. The principal told me that in place of parental contact, there will be some extra punishments, being barred from extracurriculars he's in for the rest of the year, and significant detention time. Additionally, the principal promised he would call home if it happened again, and he told him this. I was really unhappy about this, so I made it clear. I told him if my daughter gets a referral again, he better not call me, because I won't do jack crap about it if her harasser isn't getting a call home and a punishment at home. I told him he'll either get hung up on or cussed out, depending on my mood, LOL, if he calls me about her behavior again. I also said something to him like, my daughter gets a teeny bit sassy with her teacher, and you're up my butt about it within an hour. But a boy commits harassment, and you can't be bothered to make a call. I asked my friends questions about this boy's family. He lives with just his dad, and there are lots of rumors and evidence he's abusive. The last time the school called his dad, he was absent from school for several days, and then came back with a black eye and nasty bruises all over his face and body. He claimed that some street thugs mugged him, but the circumstances were suspicious, and there was a CPS investigation. Similar things happened at his middle and elementary school, and there were other investigations, but I guess they didn't find evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. Also, a friend said this boy's dad harassed and threatened her brother's business last year because he saw a pride flag sticker on the window. All this is sad, but it didn't change my opinion. Rules are rules, and it seems insanely wrong that one boy's family situation is more important than a girl's right to be safe in the classroom from harassment. I actually hoped to contact the dad myself, but wasn't able to turn up any contact info online for him. I ranted up a storm to my friends and husband. Most of them sided with me, but one got really upset with me and accused me of having no empathy for this boy's situation and said I should trust the principal to handle it. This friend also happens to have grown up with an abusive parent, in her case, her mother. Am I the idiot for not being happy with this situation? This lady is basically demanding the principal make sure the kid gets a beating from his dad. What the heck, Karen? You are the idiot. You have a right to be upset. However, it's clear that he won't be punished at home. He'll be abused. It sounds like you want to stay away from his father, too. I would ask that your daughter move away from this boy. Also, it's hilarious. OP thinks her daughter got in trouble for being sassy and not for texting in class. You are the idiot. The school is punishing the boy. Their job is to try to correct the situation and prevent it from happening again the best they can. Sometimes, but we must strictly adhere to this policy because it's the policy, is not the correct thing to do. You're complaining that the school is not endangering the boy's safety. What actual good do you think will come from them calling the dad? Do you think the boy will learn anything of value from that? You are the idiot also for framing it as a boy commits physical harassment and you can't be bothered to make a call, which implies just apathy or laziness, when your whole post explains that there are reasons that they'll not make that call. Get some perspective. Last weekend, my girlfriend's family hosted a barbecue. I was always raised to never show up anywhere empty-handed, so I asked my girlfriend's mom what I could bring. She asked that I grab the Cool Whip for a dessert she was making. Easy enough. I figured it won't be hard to find, so I decided to wait until the morning of to grab it on my way there. Well, I got to the store about 20 minutes before the barbecue started, and they were somehow out of the name brand. They did, however, have the store brand's whip topping. As I didn't have time to go to another grocery store, I just bought the generic brand and headed off. Upon arrival, I handed the bag to my girlfriend's mom. She opens it, looks inside, and gets a weird look on her face. She asks where the Cool Whip is. I said the store was out, but this is the same thing, right? She looks a little irritated with me, but tells me to make myself at home. As I put my stuff down, I heard her asking her husband to go to the store and grab the Cool Whip. I can't hear the entire conversation, but he must have asked if I didn't bring it, because I then heard her say, I asked for one thing, and he couldn't even deliver. Nothing else was said directly to me, but there were a few passive-aggressive remarks throughout the barbecue. For example, when her husband arrived, name brand in hand, she called him her hero. When the dessert was served, she again commented that it was made with real Cool Whip. I didn't want to make a scene, so I took it on the chin. When talking to my girlfriend about it later, she said that her mom was overdramatic, but I should have called her to ask if generic was okay. Or I could have gone to a different store. I asked if there really was a difference, and she said she didn't know, but it was what I was asked to bring, so I should have communicated better. Again, this all sounds so stupid, but am I the idiot? Not the idiot. My dad is one of those generic bad, brand name good people. My mom and I simply saved the name brand containers, cleaned them, and replaced them with the generic versions. Trust me, he hasn't noticed. Also, anyone who's using Cool Whip versus making homemade whipped cream doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to taste. The disrespect she showed a guest was gross, and I'd avoid being over there if you didn't have to. Way back when, our home economics teacher told us that Cool Whip was basically made out of plastic, which is why it doesn't have the calories that whipped cream does. Real plastic, not like that generic crap. Hard disagree. Nothing else tastes like Cool Whip, for better or for worse. It also has added ingredients to stabilize it. It doesn't deflate over time like fresh whipped cream. If the recipe calls for Cool Whip, it won't taste right with the off-brand. It's like if you were known for your barbecue ribs and you exclusively use Sweet Baby Ray's, then someone brings Kroger brand barbecue sauce for you instead. It won't be the same. It won't be your ribs. OP had one job. He is an idiot. You may not agree, but the mom was extremely rude in my opinion. Instead of being grateful, she stabbed the OP in the back by talking trash about it. A gracious host is thankful, not condescending, making faces and talking crap. She's the idiot. Your girlfriend should have called her mom out about it privately. I've allowed my 27-year-old son to move in with me so he can save money for a house. I'm not charging him anything, even though he has an excellent job. I want him to be able to afford a house, and I don't have any money to give him. I can do this for him, though. The problem is that he thinks I'm not taking his mental health into consideration with regard to food. He's been diagnosed and received help for stuff when he was younger. To the best of my knowledge, he's still in therapy and still taking medication to help him cope. I don't judge him for this. If I were younger, I might consider it for myself. As it is, I'd rather just drink and have short-term relationships with low-class people like myself. One of the main concerns he has is about how I eat. I love garlic sausage. I always keep a ring of it in the fridge. I can fry up some for breakfast, add some to pierogies, or even break off a piece and eat it cold. My son hates it when I do that, just tearing off a piece. He thinks I should take it out, put it on a cutting board, slice off the part I'm going to eat, and then slice that into smaller slices, so I don't need to bite off pieces. I told him to stop looking at my food and watching me eat if it bugs him so much. I also said if it was really an issue for him, he was welcome to slice up the sausage and put it in serving-sized containers for me. He said he doesn't like touching meat, and he isn't my servant to cut up my food for me. I told him tough crap. I don't have the patience to deal with this. He says I'm a terrible parent for not caring about his mental health. I told him to buy a refrigerator for his food so he doesn't have to see mine. He also has a problem with how I leave half-finished bags of chips. I rarely eat an entire bag of chips, so I roll up the top and put a rubber band around it to keep them fresh. He insists that I should buy some special clips to seal the bag, or throw them away half-finished. Not the idiot, but I must admit, taking a bite out of a ring of sausage is new. I've never known anyone who did it, but it's up to you how you eat your own food. And expecting someone to throw out a partially eaten bag of chips is downright ridiculous. Your son is 27 years old, not 12. He has the means to move out of your house if living with you is unbearable. It may put him off his financial goal of saving up for a down payment for a house, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. You made a couple of suggestions to ameliorate his concerns, but if he's not willing to figure something out that works for him, he's free to pack his stuff and find somewhere else to live. Sounds like you raised a real gem here. It's pretty simple, really. Tell him that while he's getting a free ride at your home, he doesn't get to make the rules. If he wants things a specific way, he can get his own place to live. You're letting him live there like a child, so there's no problem with treating him like one. And when he tries the old mental health bit, ask him when he plans to grow up and be an adult.